This is my first video update for Tuesday, coming to you from Athens, Greece. I am in an athletic park known as Fokianos Athletic Park, and I'm on my way to grab a coffee, so I thought I would just come down here, do kind of a little walk around, and then head through the National Gardens and to the spot where I'm gonna grab a coffee and get this video up to everybody. And let's talk about some news on this Tuesday morning. And the big story, of course, was the great Kherson counteroffensive has begun. Or at least that's what the media are building it up to be. I don't know. I think that looking at everything from last night, everything that took place yesterday during the evening, it doesn't seem like it's that great of a counteroffensive, or if you can even call it a counteroffensive, because I think there's something else that's going on here, and I'll get to that in a bit. But if you really want to get great knowledge, great detailed knowledge as to everything that's taking place in the south of Ukraine, in the Kherson area, like, you know, all the cities and the villages and everything that's happening there. I won't get into it on this video, but I would definitely recommend Defense Politics Asia. I would recommend THETI Mapping, THETI, and sometimes I get their name wrong. But THETI Mapping is the channel as well, and they do excellent work with regards to all the maps and just giving the details of everything that is taking place on the ground in Ukraine, and specifically with this counteroffensive in Kherson. I'll actually put a link to both of their most recent videos with regards to Kherson, and of course to get all the information as to what's happening in Ukraine from a geopolitical, military perspective. Definitely the new Atlas with Brian is my go-to place, and he put up a really good video where he kind of explains how he sees things going on in Kherson right now. And I have to say, this is exactly how I saw it as well. And the main point of Brian's video was his open, and that's how. And when he said this, I was kind of like, oh, that's exactly how I saw this as well. And he said that a lot of this seems like it was a political decision to undertake this offensive, and that is exactly how I interpreted it as well. Because, to be honest, after looking at all the like deep dive mapping analysis channels and how they're going into detail of everything that's going on, I just thought to myself, okay, Ukraine is deciding to take on this counteroffensive. They're doing this counteroffensive, and according to CNN, 4 villages have changed hands now, and Ukraine have gotten those villages, and they made some inroads 3 to 5 kilometers, 6 kilometers into Andrivka, and they took over this street. From what I understand, it's like one street. That's it. They took over this street on Sukhoi Sterkov, I believe. Oh, hey, what's wrong? Oh man, guys, I think this turtle is caught. This turtle is caught in the webs. One sec, I'll be right back. You are free now. Let's where is your home? You'll find your home. So let's move you away from this, because this is dangerous. And let's move you there. He got caught up in the netting here. You see? Now he's going to go home. I'll get back to the news in a bit. Some people get upset when I take these breaks from the news, but all right, buddy, I'm going to help you get up to where you need to go, because I know you want to get into the woods, I imagine, is where he wants to go. Let's see. I'll be right back. Δεν είναι μεγάλο. Μεγάλο. Να τον δώσω? Come here, buddy. Don't be afraid. Ναι. Μπορώ.
Έλα, πρόσεχε σου πέσει, γιατί άμα σπάσει είναι ο θάνατός της.
Ναι, έλα.
Μα χαρά είναι, μικρούλα.
Όμορφα, μικρούλα. Έχει πιο μεγάλο.
Ναι.
Έλα.
Διπλά.
Wow.
Απόστολε, έλα, μικρή είναι.
All right. Turtle is saved. Ωραία, ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Ευχαριστούμε. Yes. All right, the turtle is saved. One sec. All right. Woohoo. So we got the people that run the park here, and they gave it to the keeper over there on the other side of the fence, and the turtle's all right. Wow. She was telling me that there's actually bigger turtles in this area. And I always get it confused, turtles and tortoises. I know. Turtles, I think, are water, tortoises are earth, or it's the other way around. I don't know. I don't know. But, okay, so what were we talking about? Because I completely forgot. The offensive, the Kherson offensive is what we were talking about. And I completely lost track. So, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Let me go back in the video and see what I was talking about. I'll be right back. I am back. So I just had to go replay the video of where I left it off just so I can get my train of thought going again, because I got very distracted there. So the Ukraine military, they advanced in the Adrivka area, and they captured what literally was a street known as Sukhoi, Stelkov or Sukhov or something like that. It's not important. We're talking about one street. It's not even a village. And, they penetrated anywhere from 3 to 5 kilometers into what was territory being held by the Russian military. But it doesn't mean anything. What I want to say is these villages or these streets changing hands from Ukraine to Russia and Russia to Ukraine, I don't understand what the purpose of it for Ukraine is. I mean, what's their end game here? Because, okay, so they mounted this offensive on 3 fronts or 4 fronts, like they say, and a lot of it was very unsuccessful, from what I understand. The Ukraine military suffered terrible losses, and this is according to the Russian Ministry of Defense. So the Russian Ministry of Defense, they said that that the much heralded counteroffensive in Kherson has failed miserably. There's a statement from the Russian MOD. Ukraine forces attempted to attack in 3 directions on orders of Zelensky, but made no gains. Russian troops caused great losses to the Ukrainian attackers during the day's battles, including 26 tanks, 23 armored fighting vehicles, 9 more armored vehicles, 2 Su-25 ground attack jets, and more than 560 troops. The Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement on Monday, the enemy's another attempt at offensive actions has failed miserably. Okay, who knows if that's believable? It's pretty specific. How did they come up with these numbers? I don't know. But anyway, I think you are getting a lot of confirmed reports that in order to make these small territorial gains, and from what I understand, it's really just one gain that they made, which is in the Adrivka area. Maybe they made another, but in order to do all of this, the Ukraine military suffered terrible losses. Terrible losses. And I just asked the question, why did they do this? Because you can make these gains in these villages, but how are you going to hold it? How do you hold this territory, this area, without the supply lines, without the reinforcements, and most importantly, without air support? From what I understand, these areas, these are not the fortified areas of Donbass, the trenches and the fortified areas of Donetsk and Lugansk that the Ukraine military was building for 8 years, along with NATO. These are like open areas. So how are you going to hold all of this without the air support and the reinforcements? So why go through this? Is the game plan from the collective West and from the Zelensky regime to make a go at Kherson City and then eventually Mariupol and Crimea? Is that the end game? Because that's crazy talk. But is that what this is all about? And if they're going to do this, if they're going to make a play at Kherson, okay, you make a play at Kherson, you're going to need a lot more than what we saw yesterday in order to accomplish that. But maybe Zelensky, maybe NATO, they've got a million man army and an entire air force hidden somewhere, tucked away somewhere in the west of Ukraine or something. I don't know. But this counteroffensive, to me, and if you want to call it a counteroffensive, to me this is, as Brian at the New Atlas stated, this seems to be a political, and I'd even say a political media decision more than a military strategic decision. And let me just throw some thoughts out there. And I'm not saying that I know anything special or that, what I'm saying is correct, but I'm just going to throw some thoughts out there. Boris Johnson flies to Kiev, meets Zelensky on Independence Day. And now you have this military action. I have read some analysis saying that Zelensky was ordered, according to speculation, because it's speculation, no one really knows, that he better get some sort of action going. He better get some sort of counteroffensive going, because if he doesn't, well, given the situation in Europe, with electricity, with energy, with gas, with all of these things that we've been documenting on this channel for a while now, if he doesn't get something going, if Zelensky doesn't get something going, even something small and insignificant, then the support for all of this is just going to go away. They're going to pull the plug. I've been hearing stuff like that. There are analysts who are saying Zaluzny, the general, the commander-in-chief, was ordered by Zelensky to get something going. Otherwise, he's gone. No defense minister, none of that. He's just he's going to be axed. He's not going to be running the show anymore. I've heard stuff like that. I believe that a lot of this is done because of the referendum that is going to be taking place in Kherson and Zaporozhye. That is going to be taking place in September. So no doubt that this would be a nice way to not only put some fear into the people of the area who are going to take part in the referendum, maybe sow some doubts, but also for Zelensky's Ukrainian domestic consumption, so that the Ukrainians in Kiev and in the west of the country and in Odessa are led to believe that Zelensky is actually taking action, and he is going to prevent these areas from breaking off from Ukraine, right? Because I can imagine people in Odessa and other cities are saying, or Dnipropetrovsk are saying, Kharkiv, all of these areas that are going to be contested or that are being contested are probably saying, well, today it's Kherson, tomorrow it's us, Nikolaev, the same. Now, Nikolaev, the THETI Mapping channel, he made a really good point, an excellent point, towards the end of his video, and I don't know if he caught it, but he made an excellent point. He said that this offensive to him doesn't look so much like an offensive meant to turn the tide of the conflict. It seems more of a way to stop Russia's advance towards Nikolaev, to kind of put a temporary stop to the momentum. That's another thing that could be going on here, and that makes a lot of sense. For the past week, we've been hearing that the Russian military, they're making a move on Nikolaev. They're going to approach the city. They're 20 kilometers away. After Nikolaev, it's Odessa, and then everything just completely falls apart for the Zelensky regime. And so, what do? You throw everything you have at this Russian advance. No matter how incremental it was still an advance. You throw everything you have to try and plug it up. That's another explanation for what's happening. Donbass, Donetsk. Brian at the New Atlas made an excellent point in his video. The real fighting is in Donetsk and in the Donbass. And Zelensky had to move all of those assets away from Donetsk and Donbass, all of it. A lot of assets away from the real fighting in Donetsk and in the Donbass to take part in this Kherson counteroffensive. So the distraction now is in Kherson. All the media is hyping up the Kherson. But isn't this really an admission by the Ukraine military that Donetsk is going to be wrapped up by the Russians soon? So let's get whatever we can out of there as far as military assets go, and let's create a media distraction and diversion away from the Russian liberation of Donetsk and focus the media attention on the Ukrainian Kherson counteroffensive. And finally, my final point to all of this, and why I think this is a lot of fog of war and smoke and mirrors, is the fact that at the end of the day, NATO, Boris Johnson, Zelensky, the European Union, this hyped up counteroffensive, and it is being hyped up by the collective West mainstream media, this hyped up counteroffensive is a great way to keep the money and the weapons flowing for just another month or 2 or 3. Just keep it going a little bit longer. Look, they took the village or the region of Andrevka. You see, if we just give them another 6 HIMARS, if we just give them some more ammo, another MLRS, whatever, if we just give them a little bit more, another 5 billion, another 1 billion, another 3 billion, then the tide of this war is going to turn. Just another couple more billion. right? That's to me, that's a very compelling reason why you're seeing a lot of what's happening happen. I said in a video about, I don't know, maybe a month ago, that I said a couple of things in that video. The first thing is that whenever you see military actions like this coming from Ukraine, always put it through the lens of media and a media angle, because at the end of the day, who is Zelensky? He's a clown puppet actor. He loves the media. He knows how to play the media. He knows how to put on a good show, and everything is done for media consumption. So a lot of what you see going on, these smoke and mirrors, are exactly that. Smoke and mirrors in order to give the media some red meat, something that they can really, sink their teeth into and run with, so that then the MIC and the money and the loans and all of this stuff can follow. So always look at things from a media angle, but always remember that for the collective West, for NATO, for Ukraine, it's much harder covering up territorial gains from Russia, i.e., gobbling up Nikolaev. That would be hard to cover up, than it is to cover up 560 soldiers being annihilated. And so the Ukraine military, if I'm cynical about things, Yahara. So, cool dog. So the Ukraine military, they have no problem, and I'm being cynical here, they have no problem throwing more and more men into the grinder if it means that they prevent a Russian advance towards Nikolaev and what would be a lot of territorial gain, which would be very, very difficult for the collective West to cover up. And, well, if they can't cover up the territorial gain, they can cover up the troop losses. But if they can't cover up the territorial gain, well, then the support also starts to fizzle. So everything I've said, I've kind of been all over the place, but I guess that's the theme of this video today. I'm kind of all over the place, but I hope that makes sense. And let me know in the comments down below what you think as well. And I'm going to probably wrap up the video there. To be honest, I've got a clown world, and it's kind of connected to what's going on here in Ukraine and the military, the great offensive and the military quote unquote advance from Zelensky. I talked about how a lot of this is serving as a distraction for what's going on in Europe and the economic collapse in Europe as well. Absolutely. Let the citizens of Europe, give them some hopium, some copium and some hopium, that all the money and all the treasure that they're throwing at Ukraine is yielding some results, because in France you've had electricity hit 1,000 euros per megawatt hour. That is huge. You have Ursula von der Crazy finally coming out of hiding and saying that the EU is now going to set up like a special summit and a special council to deal with the rising electricity costs. Remember, a month ago we were just talking about gas and oil crisis, and now we have an electricity crisis. I mean, things are going from bad to worse. So you have that going on. Let me see if I have Van der Crazy's quote handy. If not, it's okay. Yeah, Van der Crazy. She said the skyrocketing electricity prices are now exposing, for different reasons, the limitations of our current electricity market design. She said it was developed under completely different circumstances and completely different purposes. That's why we are now working on an emergency intervention and a structural reform of the electricity market. These things don't happen overnight. This is not like, let's just redo our entire electricity architecture. Let's just redo everything. Let's rethink everything, and it'll be ready tomorrow. So you have that going on. So all of this, it is a really nice distraction. You know, just give the people of Europe some hope that everything that they're about to sacrifice, that they've already given up, and that they're going to give up, the higher prices, the hot showers, the food, what else? Everything that they're about to give up, and the reasons for them being poor or about to become poor, is going to be worth it, and it's going to be worth it in a Kherson counteroffensive. So you have that taking place. By the way, an update with the travel ban, real quick. Borrell, after learning about the Financial Times report saying that the EU ministers are indeed ready to approve a travel ban, after that report came out, Borrell, speaking to Austrian broadcaster ORF, said, "No way. I don't think that to cut the relationship with the Russian civilian population will help, and I don't think that this idea will have the required unanimity," he said. He also said, "I think that we have to review the way that some Russians get a visa, certainly not the oligarchs. We have to be more selective, but I am not in favor of stopping delivering visas to all Russians." So, you know, his words, you know, read them carefully. I'm looking at them. We need to find a solution, he's saying, that doesn't cut off all Russians, just certain Russians. He throws in the oligarchs, but once again, what you are seeing is the EU speaking out of both sides of its mouth. On the one hand, you have the ministers saying they're ready to approve a travel ban. Now you have the foreign minister of the EU saying that's not going to happen. By the way, he mentioned that countries like Germany, Hungary, Cyprus, and Portugal are against this, but he qualifies it. That's my point. He qualifies it by saying we need to find a way so that we don't punish all Russians, right? I am not in favor of stopping delivering visas to all Russians. That's his exact quote. I'm going to stick with what I believe they're going to decide, which is going to be banning the Schengen multi-entry, multi-length visa while still allowing a simple, one-time entry 30-day visa. I'm going to stick to that. I think that's going to be what they decide on, and they're going to package it as, yes, we are preventing multi-entry, multi-length, long-term visas, but we're not preventing Russians from traveling to the European Union because, look, we're still going to be issuing one-time entry visas to EU countries. I'm going to stick with that. So, with that being said, and then, by the way, the damage has already been done, if you want my opinion. Just the fact that the EU ministers are so close to approving a Russian travel ban, from a media perspective, for Russia, the damage has already been done. The Russian people are already understanding that Europe doesn't want us. So they've already shot themselves in all their feet and their hands and their lungs and everywhere. So this has just been one big absolute debacle. Let's do a clown world. Let's do a clown world. This has been perhaps one of the most interesting videos I've done. This clown world has to do with Shoigu, with Sergei Shoigu, Russia's defense minister, who, according to UK defense sources, Shoigu has been sidelined by Putin, and commanders are now briefing Putin directly. And Shoigu is also often ridiculed by his own soldiers. This is according to the Daily Mail. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu is being sidelined by Vladimir Putin and is constantly mocked by his own soldiers, the British Ministry of Defense has revealed. In its daily briefing, the MOD said the veteran politician who has held the defense post for 10 years is no longer the confidant and ally he previously was to the leader, to Putin. Russia's failures in Ukraine after sustaining huge losses to personnel and equipment without making major inroads into the country, except for the fact that they control 25% of, huge inroads into the country have led to his ousting from Putin's inner circle. Oh boy. The head of the Russian military is no longer briefing Putin directly, with Russian leaders instead being updated by operational commanders, the report said. Russian officers and soldiers with first-hand experience of the war probably routinely ridicule Shoigu for his ineffectual and out-of-touch leadership as Russian progress has stalled. Shoigu has likely long struggled to overcome his reputation as lacking substantive military experience, as he spent most of his career in the construction sector and the Ministry of Emergency Situations. Under Shoigu's leadership, Ukraine claims a staggering 47,000 Russian troops have been killed in the war. So who are these sources? Who are these people? I'm reading a lot of probably, likelies, and Ukraine claims. So Russia's lost 47,000 and Ukraine claims they've lost 9,000. And the operation has stalled, but you take a look at a map and you see that Russia controls an area which is the size of the UK, if not bigger. And that is stalling. And you look at what the Ukraine military is now doing by trying to, what I believe, to prevent more Russian advances towards Nikolaev. You see what they're doing, and I guess that is the definition of losing, according to the Daily Mail. Anyway, once again, Shoigu has overcome adversity before. He's already suffered about 24 heart attacks, and he's come back from all of those heart attacks, and I'm sure he's going to recover from being shunned by Putin and by his very own soldiers. I'm sure he'll make it back from this as well, and we'll probably see him speaking at some event or hanging out with Putin very, very soon. So that is the cloud world. This is the video, everybody. This has been a little bit of a crazy morning video, but I hope that you enjoyed it. All right, theduran.locals.com, and check out Alexandra's channel. Check out the Duran's channel as well. And I'm going to put links to Brian's video at the New Atlas. I'll put links to Defense Politics Asia, and I will put links to THETI Mapping and how they went through the entire great Kherson counteroffensive in the description box down below. Take care.